recording, so let's try again.
Okay, we're going to start this meeting over. Call to order the Wednesday, August 12th, 2020 meeting, the Victorian Village Commission. Due to technical difficulties, we have begun at 4:23 p.m. The next monthly business meeting is at noon Wednesday, August 26, 2020, and our next hearing is Wednesday, September 9th at 4 p.m. This meeting and the two future meetings I mentioned will be conducted virtually by WebEx. Sarah Medwig, you are our staff. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you will give today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And very well. Liesl Kodheimer, say you're here.
I'm here.
Sean Conyers, are you here?
Yes, sir, I'm present.
And Jack Decker is here. We have a bare quorum of 3 present. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of July 8th, 2020?
So moved.
Kodheimer moves. Second from Conyers, please.
Yes, sir, second.
All right. Hearing no discussion. In favor, Ms. Kodheimer.
Yes.
Mr. Conyers.
Yes.
Mr. Decker, yes. They're approved 3-0. Special meeting minutes of June 29th and July 21st, 2020. Have we a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Commissioner Kodheimer beat Commissioner Conyers the buzzer. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Conyers. Any discussion? Commissioner Kodheimer, are you in favor of a set of measure approval?
Yes.
Commissioner Conyers.
Yes.
Commissioner Decker, yes. Both sets of minutes are approved 3-0. But we have no public forum. Is that correct? That is correct. All right. Next is to enter the staff approvals into the record. I need to recuse because several pertain to a next door neighbor. Do we have a motion to enter the staff approvals into the record?
So moved.
Conyers is moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Commissioner Kodheimer, seconded. Commissioner Kodheimer, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Conyers.
Yes.
Commissioner Decker abstains. All right. Here we go. Applications. Take it away, Sarah.
Okay. First up is 1255 Neal Avenue. This is landscaping, request for action, a low concrete curb that the applicant is proposing replacing with a stone retaining wall that will line both sides of the driveway per submitted drawings. Wall will be 25 feet long, average height of 12 inches, installed on a 6-inch crushed limestone base. So the applicant has provided additional information in some measured drawings that are in there. The next door neighbor has expressed support for the project. This is the neighbor whose house is on the other side of the driveway. And staff review seems fine that the wall is appropriate height, length, and material to be compatible. The basis is the standards for site improvements, just saying that landscaping, walkways, and similar improvements should be compatible to each other, to the building, and to the properties adjacent, and that brought iron, stone, or wood. So I would recommend approving the project as submitted, just as long as actual wall matches the submitted drawing.
I'm sorry you broke up. What was the condition of approving as submitted that you recommend?
That as long as it matches the drawings that they're submitted.
Right. All right. Discussion. If this is immediately south of the law office on the corner, this concretion has already been removed for what it's worth. But does anybody have a discussion about its propriety? Do we have a motion to approve as submitted?
I guess my only comment is that it maintains the existing elevation and slope of the lawn?
That's what it appears to do because they have simply removed the wall and
Yeah,
dug back a little bit without changing the lawn grade.
as long as that is maintained, it looks okay.
Do you want to make a motion to add that condition to the approval?
I guess one quick question, I don't know, the way that it sort of slopes down toward the sidewalk. I'm curious if anybody has an opinion of whether that should just be a straight end or if tapering it down like that is good. I think it's okay, but it's just a little bit weird.
The applicant is also on the meeting if you would like to speak with them.
I understand that that's the sort of shape that the concrete sort of takes on already. So,
Well, the lawn is level and then it drops off the sidewalk, whereas the driveway is a slow descent. So
yeah,
and it appears to me that the wall follows basically covers the space between the two angles.
yeah,
And that's, I think, what you want, right?
I think so.
So I think the drawing indicates that that's the plan here.
Okay.
The only weird thing is how the wall finishes end out on the street end of the
Mm-hmm.
Installation. I don't know if there's a better way to do that or not. Although if you did it some other way, it would basically be a 57 Chevy fin sticking up there.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve is submitted.
Second.
Any further discussion? All right, Commissioner Kodheimer,
Yes.
Commissioner Conyers,
Yes.
Commissioner Decker, yes. There it is, 3-0. What's next?
Next is 858 Park Street. This is another landscaping request for action. There's an existing rear yard concrete pad that is 8 feet by 10 feet, and the applicant would like to build an 8-foot 8-inch tall 10 by 12 pergola over the concrete pad per the submitted drawings. The pergola will be stained to match an existing cedar fence. The standards here that staff finds applicable are standards for new construction, which is appurtenances of structures like walls, fences, and masses shall be in keeping with the environment and form cohesive enclosures to ensure visual compatibility with the adjacent visually related structures and open spaces. Scale, size, and mass of structures in relation to open spaces shall be compatible with adjacent visually related structures and open spaces. And the standards for site improvement, which is that landscaping, parking, utility or service areas, and walkways, and similar should be compatible to each other and to the subject building or structure, as well as to adjacent properties. Staff's recommendation would be to approve the project as submitted, with no condition other than that it should match the submitted drawings.
Discussion? I'm not sure this is compatible with anything but the fence, but it's not incompatible either. So I'm shaving hairs here.
I think
Anybody have
I think it looks non-controversial.
There you go.
I would agree. It's pretty neutral in its
Yeah.
presence. So for sure.
There we are. So do we have unfortunately, we are not allowed to take a position of neutrality. So can I have a motion?
A motion to approve as submitted. Oh,
Okay,
I'm sorry,
Conyers
Lisa.
moves to approve. Commissioner Kodheimer,
Second that.
further discussion on the motion. Okay, roll call. Commissioner Kodheimer,
Yes.
Commissioner Conyers,
Yes.
Commissioner Decker, yes. There you are, 3-0. Motion passes.
Okay. So,
I'm
moving-
sorry, wait a minute. My Google is turned on and is talking to me. How did that happen? I don't know. Did I use the word Alexa in a sentence? Okay, go ahead. Next.
all right, number 3 is 953 Denison. This is new construction. It's a continuation from last month. This is a 2-story addition on the south elevation. The roof line pitch and height will match the existing house. We'll have fine gray shingles to match the existing house. Window facings will match the existing size, head, and sill details. Cladding will be smooth James Tardy board and batten 5.5-inch exposure. Let's see. So changes since last time you saw this are that the window configuration has gone from pair to single, and the roof height now will match the existing height of the original building. And staff would note that the proposed windows and shingles are from the approved lists. Standards to talk about for new construction is that new construction should look new, but that building height with mass and proportion affect the degree of compatibility between old and new. Height as viewed from the street shall be compatible with adjacent contributing properties. Proportions of opening width, height of windows, doors, and entries shall be visually compatible with adjacent properties, and that the rhythm of relationship of solid spaces to voids shall be visually compatible with adjacent properties. So staff recommends approving the project as submitted, with no conditions other than it should match the drawings.
All right, I noticed our applicant is here. Does he want to address this further? We've discussed this to great degree in previous meetings, but do you have anything to add?
No, we have nothing else to add.
Very well. Architects, what say ye?
I think it
This-
looks good.
This appears to be
Very
what
good.
we discussed. And I guess my only 2 questions would be, is it? And B, do we have enough detail?
My only comment is the window height of the middle window.
Middle, the 2nd-story window on the front
Yeah.
elevation?
Like, should that be a smaller window? Since
It's certainly out of alignment with the one on the main structure, isn't it?
exactly.
Or it looks that way, is it?
Yes, it definitely is.
That can easily be moved to match the existing structure.
As long as it could be, well, that would be fine, I think. What do you think, Sean?
Yeah, that was one of the questions. I just didn't know if there was a reason for that window to be lowered. I think obviously with the adjustments of kind of separating the pairing of the windows, I think that starts to help some of the priority that was kind of offered, last time. So that was I think very helpful. And the other comment that I had was the soffit condition of the existing. I think it's just a modeling issue, but I'm presuming that the soffit condition is going to be just a slope soffit like the existing home. If you look at the section, there's kind of a soffit that shows horizontal that kind of shows up on the elevation, but I think that's a modeling issue and not what the intent is. So
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, I figured that would. Okay, perfect. So that was my only 2 my only 2 observations.
I think the window comment applies to the front and the back of the addition also.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing.
Yeah.
That right.
But
I assume the windows are the same size on the 2nd floor on the front and back, right, Jim?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we need to move them both up.
That's an easy adjustment.
it all looks good to me. And I agree with Sean on the soffit, just to be clear that it's the same style.
All right, can we have a motion? If that concludes our discussion.
I'll,
A motion, go ahead, Lisa, I'm sorry.
okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Motion to approve as submitted with the change that the center window on the second floor of the addition on both the front and back be moved up to be the same elevation as the window on the existing house. And just to confirm that the soffit will match the existing house.
Do we have a second?
Only one amendment, I would just say sloped for the soffit, just to make sure that that is just added in.
That the slope
And
of
then
the
I would-
soffit match the existing house? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Can we have
And then
that
I'll-
amendment to the motion, Liesl?
Yeah, sounds great.
All right.
And then I
Now
second.
can we have a second?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Conyers, motion by Codeheimer, second by Conyers. Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Commissioner Codeheimer,
Yes.
Commissioner Conyers,
Yes.
Commissioner Decker, yes. We'll find something to disagree about later, maybe. All right, motion passes. There you go. Your long, arduous journey is over, Mr. and Mrs. Cook. Congratulations.
Thank you.
For now,
Thank you
anyway.
so much.
Very well. Thank you. Sarah, what have we next?
860. This is landscaping. It's continued from last month. This is a rear yard with 4 boxwoods, dogwood trees, 3 hemlocks, and numerous small bushes. The applicant would like to remove the bushes, the 4 boxwoods and the 4 dogwood trees, plus 3 hemlock trees on the south fence. And they'd like to plant a wall of arborvitae around the air conditioners, and they've provided alternate options, including cypress and blue juniper. Commissioners commented in July that arborvitae is not a tree, it's a shrub, and that the applicant should consider adding at least 2 actual trees. The applicant did add the additional tree option to the proposal, though the alternatives do appear to be similar in type and size to arborvitae. I will mention the arborist report indicates the boxwoods are declining and that the hemlock trees are encroaching on service and cable lines.
I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, you're breaking up a little bit. You said the hemlock trees are what?
The hemlock trees are encroaching on service and cable lines.
Thank you.
From the arborist report. So standards to consider are for site improvement, just about compatibility with the space and the adjacent properties. Staff's recommendation would be approving the project, but with the condition that while the applicant may plant arborvitae, they should also plant at least 2 actual trees in the backyard that would be similar in size to the 4 dogwoods being removed. Yeah. That's it.
All right. Is our applicant here? Hello, can people hear me?
I don't see him on here.
Well, he doesn't necessarily have to come, does he? Or does he? This Commissioner pardon?
We say that you should come, and if you can't, it might mean that your application will continue, but I'm not sure if that's applicable to this project. So up to you guys.
I don't know. Is this something we can approve in absentia and move on maybe, or approve with conditions? And if he doesn't like them, he can come back. What do you think, Commissioner Codeheimer?
Can you just flip to the proposal? I don't remember exactly what does he have a plan? Removed. Does he have a plan though?
The third page has this sort of little green L that says make a wall of arborvitae around the air conditioner.
So he's not adding trees.
Well,
So I totally agree. I think I missed this application last month, but I do agree that he should plant a couple of shade trees.
is there a shade tree option on here? That's what I
don't see that. I mean, we can approve him, adding the arborvitae, but I would not approve, removing the trees.
I think this is probably a holistic issue, and maybe the best thing to do is continue it. What do you
I
think?
think so. I agree.
Commissioner Conyers, are you still?
I'm okay with continuing it. If there was a move, it would be in order to, a revised drawing to be provided to staff that, that confirmed the addition of those 2 shade trees. But so if he was to bring that, then that would be fine. But if we want to go ahead and move to continue it, that seems like that's an acceptable approach if he wants to push back on it.
I agree with that.
I'm with Commissioner Coda. Well, I'm with both of you. I think we need a better drawing, and I think we need to go with the staff recommended option of a couple shade trees somewhere.
I agree with that.
All right. Motion to continue.
So moved.
That's Commissioner Conyers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All right, Commissioner Kutheimer.
Continue it.
That's an aye. Commissioner Conyers.
Yes.
Commissioner Decker, yes. Motion to continue passes. Very well. Back to you, Sarah.
Right, we have 348 West 2nd. This is a window project. So the applicant would like to remove 3 double hung windows on the south elevation and install 3 double hung wood star windows. So this item was on the agenda at the July hearing, but it was continued. The proposed windows are not from the approved list, and staff requested additional photographs and a contractor's report indicating that the windows are fatally compromised. Applicant did provide a contractor's report. Upon looking at it, it stated that one of the windows is fatally compromised. Staff doesn't quite agree just from the photographs that the windows cannot be fixed, although it could be possible that one of the windows might be beyond being repaired. It seems to me from conversation with the applicant that they would like to do all of the 3 regardless. Staff would call into mind the standards for alteration, which is just the distinguishing characteristics of the property shall not be destroyed. Removal or alteration shall be avoided whenever possible, and that deteriorated features shall be repaired rather than replaced. If you do have to replace it, it should match the existing in lots of different qualities. Victorian Village guidelines state that you should try to preserve original doors, windows, and transoms. Original ornamentation around doors or windows is to be kept as well, but that if window sash is too rotted to repair, you can replace the sash as well. So staff's recommendation is that the windows are retained and repaired rather than replaced. We feel that photographic evidence indicates faulty hardware and excess paint, which can be repaired or repainted. And we would recommend continuing the application to allow them time to investigate repair options. But I do also think that they might be on the call to talk more.
Is our applicant here?
Yes, hi. One thing to note, we were going to replace the windows exactly how you wanted us to, up to your guidelines. Both the glass is broken in those as well, and we cannot find a contractor to replace the windows. And then the back window is also the one that our contractor did in fact write and say that it cannot be fixed.
There are a number of people around who can repair these windows, can take the sashes out, can replace the glass, reglaze them. There are places you can go to have new sashes made if you can't fix the old ones, so that you keep most of the window if you can't keep the sash. I think the problem, and I'm sure staff can help you in that regard, since the guy I use has passed away, but in this neighborhood, we are very hesitant to approve replacement of original windows if they can be made to work for the reasons given by Sarah. So if your problem is one locating a contractor, I'm sure that Sarah and the other staff can point you in the right direction. If I put you on the hot seat.
We have found a contractor to do the work. We have shopped around, and again, the back window cannot be replaced. Like, it has to be replaced. We have a contractor who did in fact tell us that he is holding up work to repair the wall from water damage until it is.
Which one's the rear window here? Can we pull that up? I'm sorry, you didn't introduce yourself and I didn't swear you. Where could our applicant pop onto the screen, please, if he's around?
I apologize. My name's Corbin Steinhaus, Steinhaus.
You don't have your video on, sir.
You need my video?
Yeah, we do. There you are. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you will give the truth is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, and you've said that you have a contractor who says that your rear window, which I assume is what we're looking at on the screen now, cannot be repaired.
That's correct.
And staff thinks from her examination of the photos that it can.
Staff would think that maybe there's one window that cannot be repaired. And we would recommend replacing that one window, but repairing the two others.
Why cannot this window be fixed? Maybe there's a letter in here I missed, but what's the issue with it?
There is a letter from my contractor. The frame is broken.
The frame being the sash?
I am not a window expert. I'm relying on a contractor to give me this information. I've had two contractors now actually do this. I would prefer not to spend the money to have to replace windows, but this is what I'm being told.
Right. I'm just trying to figure out what goes on here before we deliver a death sentence to anything. Where's our letter? I did the comments. I understand there's some questions. Damaged walls, broke the existing window from, I guess, top to bottom on both sides. I think he's saying by frame, he means the structure in which the sashes sit. Is that the way you're viewing it, Sarah?
Yeah,
The structure with it that
Yes,
contains
the
the window weights and all that.
the surrounding wall is what I read it as.
Okay, anybody, commissioners, anybody else have a view on this?
So is there a window from the approved list that is compatible with the existing windows on this house?
Good question.
I thought that everything that we were putting in was from the approved list. I did not by any means think we were going away from that.
Maybe the motion would approve the removal and replacement of this window with a window from the approved list to be run by staff to make sure that it reasonably matches the facade that it's going to go into.
I'm okay if they replace it, if they're replacing other windows, but as long as it's something from the approved list, I think the report said that the proposed window was not from the approved list.
Yeah,
Did Window Nation provide what they were going to replace it with? I believe that they might have sent that in because they told us that they were going to replace everything with what was approved. And they said that they sent that.
We have what's called a Woodstar window. I haven't seen that on the approved list, but I'm happy to work with you to share with you that list and with them, and we can find you that window that would be appropriate. I'm sure we would have one.
That would be something that would not require you to come back, but would basically have you finish with the meetings, and then you and Sarah and your contractor could sort out selecting the appropriate window.
Okay, so we'll go with the windows from the approved list, work with the contractor on that.
Well, not yet. We don't have a motion, but we will, hopefully we will. And this would pertain only to the rear second floor window, correct?
So the other two windows, I need to find another contractor in order to,
You need to fix them.
all right.
Where is my book? Very well. Let's have an A and B motion here for the front and back of the house. Do we have such a motion?
So,
A motion.
go ahead, Sean.
No problem, Lisa. I was trying to wait for you. I apologize.
Yeah.
So option A or item A, which is going to be the front, is those windows to be repaired in kind, and for those details or that process to be reviewed and approved by staff at that time.
Let me back up just a minute. If the applicant is interested in appealing, maybe we ought to make a motion to allow him to replace the front windows and then vote on it. Do you want us to go through that, or can we go directly to what we need to do?
I'm not sure if I fully understand, but I would prefer to replace all three windows just for multiple reasons, energy efficiency, windows that open, new glass. Just I could actually use my financing options that I have with my current contractor if we do all three. So, I mean, there's multiple reasons why.
All right, why don't we start with Sean, with the motion to replace the two windows in the front as submitted.
Okay. So a motion to as item A to replace the two windows on the front elevation as submitted.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All right. Roll call. Commissioner Kodheimer.
Yes.
Oh, you're approving the removal of the front windows.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Commissioner Conyers.
No.
Commissioner Decker. No. Motion fails. Reason for denial. City Code 3116.11 6. Deteriorated architectural features shall be repaired rather than replaced whenever possible. There, I'm sure, are others that apply, but that's the main one. All right, can we have an alternate motion for those two windows that you were about to propose, Commissioner Conyers?
Yes. This will be item A. Again, it would be a motion to repair the two windows on the front elevation as recommended by staff.
Sarah, does that work for you?
Yep.
All right.
Is that what the applicant doesn't want that though?
Well,
No, I do not.
he can't replace them because we denied it unless he appeals.
Okay. Got it.
So we're giving him the option to proceed now in another direction if he wants to. If he doesn't want to do that, then I can't tell him what to do. Commissioner Code?
I would probably want to appeal.
Well, let's go ahead and do this anyway, just in case. Commissioner Kodheimer, did you second?
Did Sean make a motion or did you?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
I can't make a motion. The motion go
Yeah.
ahead.
So yes, second.
To repair the front windows.
Exactly.
As further discussion, Commissioner Kodheimer.
Yes.
Vote. Commissioner Conyers,
Yes.
Commissioner Decker, yes, motion passes. Do we have a C or a B for the rear window?
The motion, part B, is to replace the rear window with a selection that is on the approved window list due to the frame of the window being compromised.
And is the selection to be approved contingent on approval by staff?
That is correct.
All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion Conyers, second Kodheimer. Further discussion? Commissioner Kodheimer, vote.
Yes.
Commissioner Conyers,
Yes.
Commissioner Decker, yes, motion passes. Well, Mr. Steinhaus, thank you very much. Sorry we couldn't do everything you needed to, but that's our job.
All right, thanks for your time.
Very well. Have a good day.
You too.
What's next?
Next is 1100 Denison. This was on the last schedule or last agenda as an old business item that was continued to this meeting. This is exterior building alteration. The building, and this was reviewed before by the Victorian Village Commission, and you previously approved enlarging windows, restoring stone veneer, demolishing the concrete plank sunscreens, adding new aluminum sunscreens, adding new windows, adding planting beds, adding a green wall. That was already approved. This is to keep the building program the same as office space rather than as rental property as previously submitted. The existing storefront entry and window curtain wall on the west elevation will remain. They'd like to remove the entry vestibule on the south elevation that was added in 2002, modify the existing south entryway into window openings, add new aluminum door and window in the middle bay of the south elevation. This new door would alter the historic fabric, which staff does not recommend. And they'd like to add new concrete paving, sidewalk, and landscaping on the south elevation. Standards to consider are the standards for alteration, which says distinguishing characteristics shall not be destroyed. Item 10 in the standards for alteration says that whenever possible, new additions or alterations shall be accomplished so that the future removal will not impair the essential form and integrity of the structure. That in passing appropriateness, the commission shall consider the architectural characteristics typical of structures in the district or the property, historical and architectural value and significance, and lots of other items relating to the integrity of the item. Victorian guidelines say that it's appropriate to preserve original doors, windows, and transoms. That original ornamentation around doors or windows is to be kept, but that if windows are too rotted or to repair, you can install comparable replacements. Staff would recommend approving the application as submitted with the condition that the newly proposed door on the south elevation is removed from the application since it alters the historic fabric.
Do we have the applicant with us, or Mr. Sullivan? Did I see your face once? Someone here?
Yes, Phil Heron.
All right, who have we? Introduce yourselves, please.
Phil Heron. I'm representing Sullivan Brock Architects.
All right, and Joe Sullivan is here, correct?
Yes.
Do you both swear or affirm the testimony you will give today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
I do.
I think one of the things you need to do in responding, if you want to, is to bring us up to date, because I know that it seems to me we've already approved lots of changes to this particular area of the building, which keeps moving around. That is the opening up of the ground floor facing west, I think. Is that correct?
Actually, what was approved back in March, the program was going to be an Airbnb boutique hotel. due to COVID, the program has changed because hospitality is no longer viable and they cannot get financing for the project. They're going to maintain it as a office building, which is what its current use is. And so as part of that kind of reconsideration of the project, the west entry, the main entry, the elevation that we're looking at, will be kept in its original form as it is now. There are no changes proposed for it except for an update to the canopy, which was modified in the 2000 renovation. And the current canopy is a EFIS type cladding finish. And so as per the original application, we are proposing that the canopy be, still be conformed to what was approved back in March, which is an aluminum cladding with a exterior grade chipboard underside that's painted with recessed lighting. So the windows themselves, the curtain wall and the storefront will be remaining in their current condition. For this application, the major consideration is really the south elevation. And so if you look at what was
Is that the new door staff is talking about is what's on the south?
No, what's shown on that south elevation on the image that we're looking at right now is what's currently existing. And that vestibule space was added in 2000 at the time that the building was renovated. And so that the door in the vestibule and the roof and the canopy at that location is all per a 2000 renovation. Per our application, if we can go to the next image, we are proposing to remove that added vestibule and canopy and replacing it with a window in kind with what we're proposing for the rest of the elevations. However, we are proposing in the center bay on the first floor to convert the window that was originally proposed into a exit door. And the reasoning that the reason for that is due to the program requirements for the first floor space office that we have submitted drawings to the city of Columbus and gotten approvals for, and for the office space, but not for this change. But we'd like to be able to add this door to accommodate the egress requirements from the office space.
Right.
And so those are the two items of consideration that are different from what was approved in March. Now, we also have several other items on this application. Back in March, we were asked to come back to address building signage, exterior lighting, and public art. And as part of this application, we have those pieces included for your consideration and review.
Could you, for the slow readers among us, just very briefly run us through what you are doing?
Okay, so
to address those items.
All right, so the signage, they have the signage piece up right now. They're proposing a brushed aluminum kind of large scale numerals that will be basically flat aluminum numerals that'll be held off the building about an inch. So and they'll be lit from below with uplights on those locations. And so you can see the sizes of the letters or the numerals. And
I would point out that the short north guidelines for signage do not apply to where this building is. For those who may care. All right, go ahead.
The next item would be the exterior lighting at the west entry.
Excuse
Oh.
me. I cannot hear anything because there is a noise coming from somewhere that's very distracting. There, it stopped. Started again. It's an echo. Stephanie, do you know what this is?
It looks like we're just getting feedback from our speakers, so I can't really hear them.
Yeah, it's very bad feedback and echo.
Let me try to.
Stephanie, it's Joe SU. I don't know who that is, but that's who's feeding back.
Okay.
Sorry about that, Joe.
All right, Joe, we muted you.
There you go. All right.
Oh, sure. Take away my backup. That's okay. I'm sorry, Jack. Did you have another question with regards to the signage, or did we want to move on?
I think you're moving on to describe the other things that you're addressing from the March meeting.
Okay. So the exterior lighting piece, we're looking at the west entry. And so we do have a fixture selection, the Alva Tech fixture, which is the fixture we had before had a visible light source, and the request was to, find a fixture that had a concealed or backlit, so we didn't see the direct light source, and so we chose this fixture to deal with scale, and we felt that it was it kind of was appropriate in its simplicity to go with the building, the style of the building, and to deal with the just the request of the commission to have a fixture that doesn't have the exposed light source. But the scale is very important because we're dealing with a large scale elevational element. We wanted to have fixtures of scale that mitigated, it at least felt appropriate on the facade. And so this was the fixture that we were looking at. And for the life of me, we have a finish on that, and I can't remember what the finish on that is. And if it's in the drawings as shown, but I believe we were doing like a mill finish on that fixture to be similar in finish to the windows and other items that we're applying to the building. The sunshades, the windows, the storefronts, it would have a consistent material palette.
Got it.
The fourth item, and Jamie Overschlake, who is the owner's representative, was not sworn in, and he's here, is the public art piece. And I can just slightly introduce that, and you may want to swear him in to have conversations with regards to what's selected. But if we go to the landscape drawings, there is a preliminary back one sheet. This was submitted by an artist as a concept. The owner has solicited multiple submissions from 10 different artists, and this was the direction that they were choosing to go with. I'm not sure exactly what type of format you guys wanted with regards to this, but this was kind of the image, and I'm going to turn this over to Jamie and let him explain a little bit further.
Jamie, do you swear or affirm the testimony you will give is the truth, the whole truth, or nothing but the truth?
I do.
And please go ahead and introduce yourself for the record.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jamie Overschlake with Shift Capital Group.
All right. It's my understanding that these are just examples, and you're going to come back to us later with your final proposal for your artwork.
This is the concept sketch that we selected from one of the 10 artists that we solicited. We put a posting up on Columbus CCAD, got some students involved looking for options. We reached out to some artists. We reached out to an artist in Austin that's done some murals. This is someone from New York that splits her time between New York and Columbus. And a couple others, and the message we wanted the artist to deliver was peace, love, harmony, community. And at the time of looking for this, we've got a lot of murals that were similar to what you would have seen on High Street, and we wanted this mural to be something that was a little more timeless, not in the moment, that still delivered a peace, love, and harmony message. So this is the final concept. We liked the peace hand. We liked the word peace, the lettering, and it's a little less in your face than some of the other concepts we had, and we felt like this would really be something attractive on the north wall of that building.
As a child of the 60s, I have to approve of this. I'm not sure about the younger commissioners, but generally we don't get delved too deeply into the merit of the art. We generally just devote space to it and let the artists go do what they need to. But has that been helpful to the remaining commissioners as to what we've been asked to do here? Or do you have further questions? Pardon?
No, I think this makes sense. I think this side of the building was generally just sort of neglected. And it's where the parking lot is and kind of the entrance. So I think this is like a good way to address the neighborhood.
Yeah, it's visible from all over though. So yeah, this is an improvement. Sean, how about,
I think this is in kind. This is in kind to some of the previous conversations that we had on the project. So, yes. So I don't have any objections to anything that's being presented on the artwork.
What about the windows and doors and the movement of doors and window wall?
Yes, sir. As far as the overhangs and the articulation of that, I think that's in kind as well. The awnings, so no concerns. I think that was a real unique way of being able to balance out, the facade again, with the omission of the previous addition, vestibule, and being able to bring it back to the original structure. And if you look at the south elevation that we previously approved, there was one exit, and now we're still, mimicking one exit. So it seems like to me that there's no concern with, misrepresenting the historic fabric, etc. So I don't really have any concerns. I think that was a real unique way of being able to get us back to the original character, but at the same time meet the provisions of the current code requirements. So artwork, signage, no concerns at all as well. I think that's in kind to the previous concept. And I think the last one was the light fixture, and I think that represents what some of the commissioners' comments mentioned last time in terms of the exposed bulb, but still meets the design intent that was put forth. So
I'm all confused. I have one question. Is the sign, the big numerical sign, oriented towards the hospital?
It's actually on two sides. It's on the west elevation and on the south elevation. It's kind of a corner. It's a corner piece.
But it's toward the hospital and then towards 3rd Avenue where it turns around right in front of the hospital.
Correct.
So that's not going to be shining in anyone's face unless you're on a ventilator and
it's uplit now though.
It's not illuminated.
Yeah, it's uplit, which I think it makes a lot of sense. I think
right
is responding to the feedback from last time.
Very well. Do we have a motion on this?
I think everything looks good. I'm okay with the windows. I just want to make sure that the lights are, you said mill finish. I'm assuming they're going to be aluminum sort of color.
Yes.
So I think everything looks good. I would approve as submitted. Motion to
Is
approve
that
as submitted.
so that's a motion. Thank you. By Codeheimer. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Conyers. Any further discussion? Okay.
Can you just clarify, since I don't have bullet points for the signage, lighting, and art, that's my bad. Can you just clarify that that is part of the motion, not just what's on the agenda?
Yeah, motion to approve as submitted. This includes the proposed lighting and the address signage and the public art on the north elevation.
And Commissioner Conyers, do you accept those amendments to the motion?
Yes, sir. I accept them.
All right. We twisted your arm. Any further discussion? Commissioner Codeheimer.
Aye.
Commissioner Conyers.
Yes.
Commissioner Decker, yes. Motion passes. There you go.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thanks,
This
everyone.
is going to look better now.
We
Have a
really
good
appreciate
day.
your time.
Have a good day. Sarah, back to you.
Okay, 172 to 174 Buttle. This is an exterior building alteration. The applicant would like to remove the slate from the entirety of the roof and replace it with Owens Corning standard 3-tab shingles in a estate gray. The applicant did submit a roof assessment that, when I read it, appears to indicate repair is possible. The contractor stated that when walked upon, the slate tiles did not break, indicating they were generally in good condition. However, I will note that the interior photographs submitted do appear to show significant damage. Probably it looks like water damage, so repair is definitely necessary. And that the roof assessment did state that 42 existing tiles were displaced to some degree. Applicable standards for alteration. Again, the distinguishing characteristics shall not be destroyed. Commissioners should consider the surrounding area and the district, the property, when considering what's to approve or not. And so staff's recommendation here would just be that we continue the project to allow the applicant time to investigate repair options and to try to find the source of that leak. The staff recommends that the roof is retained and repaired.
Is the applicant with us?
I don't see them unless their name is something I'm not finding in the list.
If the applicant is here, could you wave or do something like that? Virtually wave to attract attention so you can be unmuted.
There, I'll start my video. I don't know if I'm here. We can't connect to your webcam.
We hear you.
Yeah, it's saying here that we can't connect to your webcam for some reason. I don't know why it's saying that.
I think the sense of the recommendation of, could you state your name, please?
Yeah, Daryl Allen, owner and operator of A General Contracting.
So you're the people who made the inspection report, correct?
Right.
Why isn't this? I can't swear you because I can't see you, but you might as well at least talk while you're here. Why isn't this?
Unless he's able to use his phone to connect, like the app.
You know what? I was on my cell phone earlier. Let me see if I can get back on the cell phone. Where's that at? I don't know why it's not connecting to. All right, let me try this.
All right.
Where is that WebEx? Okay, let me see if I can sign in. There we go. Okay, on my cell phone it says I'm connected.
You gotta mute one of them. And I don't see the video for your cell phone yet. I can look.
I can see you through my cell phone. There we go.
Okay, we have a Daryl Allen, but that may have been your old connection because there's still no picture.
There you are.
Okay.
Where are we?
I see you.
There you are.
Oh, I see me up now on the screen. Oh, that is my cell phone.
Okay, I think we're good to go if you know, I see audio and video. Looks like.
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
could you state your name, please?
Daryl Allen.
Do you swear affirm the testimony you will give today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right. Did you hear the staff report that Ms. Medwig gave?
Yes.
What have you to say about it, specifically about the feasibility of repairing the damage to this roof?
Well,
other than removing it.
I was there today and again up on the roof. In my opinion, I think the whole assembly needs to be replaced.
Well,
I mean, the whole roof needs to be replaced, in my opinion.
Why there are apparently about 50 missing or displaced shingles, which is probably enough to make it leak.
Yes.
So why not simply, according to your report, about 200 shingles over time have been patched in. Is that about right?
Yes, that's correct.
Why not keep going? Just do that with the additional ones that are defective.
So just more of a patch and repair with existing slate.
I think that's what the city is the staff is recommending. I'm trying to figure out whether, and I'm sure the rest of the commissioners are trying to evaluate that vis-a-vis what you're recommending.
Yeah, a lot of those hips are frayed and fragile also. Some of the smaller hips and ridges. Again, I was up there today and I just assumed that, you know, I could do the whole assembly because there's some issues on the wood soffit around the perimeter of the property up on the roof. That's, you know, you might not see it on these pics, but I noticed that today also when I was over there because I'm actually building a carriage house behind this 2-family, and I actually started that job today.
That's why you were there.
Yes. I mean,
here's what I'm saying. A lot of these roofs have a life expectancy of not a whole lot over 100 years.
Right.
But this is one of our newer ones. This is a 1912 building. Is that right, Sarah? Something like that. I think I saw something that said the building was built just before World War One.
Oh, wow.
So it's got probably a little more life than some of the other roofs have in them. And eventually they reach the point where repair becomes impractical for the reason that so much of the roof is going to deteriorate so fast that it becomes pointless. You're dealing with an avalanche of decay.
Correct.
Are
Yeah.
we there yet on this one? I'm not getting that from your report or what you're telling me.
Well, that report is also from an insurance adjuster.
Oh, that's not your report. I'll quit using it against you.
Yeah, that was from an insurance adjuster.
Got it.
Yeah.
Oh, I will quit using words that aren't yours against you, sir.
Oh,
But,
no, I didn't take it offensive.
That's essentially, I think, what we were looking at before you.
Yeah.
Fellow commissioners, what do you think? I've been doing a lot of talking here.
I would like to see a little bit more evidence of some of the other issues with this house and why, again, a patch and repair wouldn't make sense here. Also, I don't know if it's a hardship to do that or what, but some evidence of, what the economy of doing that type of work versus would be.
It would seem to me that if that would buy you 10 or 15 more years, it would make sense to replace, 50 shingles.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. It's like if it's a 20-year thing, which it is in a way, that the preferred would be to keep the slate.
What do you think, Mr. Commissioner Conyers?
I would agree in terms of being able to see if there's an opportunity to maintain the existing shingles or the existing slate and find an opportunity to repair instead of replacement.
Mr. Allen, do you object if we continue this to give you the opportunity to collect information to address those concerns?
Yes, if I could, please. Yes.
So you would like a delay so you could do that, right?
Yes.
All right. Have we a motion?
Motion to continue.
Kodheimer moves to continue. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Conyers. Further discussion. Commissioner Kodheimer, how do you vote? Commissioner Conyers, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Decker votes yes. Motion passes 3-0. Mr. Allen, thank you very much. You've been very helpful. I'll try not to use the words of others against you in the future.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Okay, moving on to 1079 North High Street. This is a request for action for signage and for the applicant regarding the signage portion would like to install 3 signs. One is a projecting blade sign that is 4 foot by 4 foot. Second is another projecting blade sign that is 7 feet by 22 foot 6 inches. And the third is an awning sign with, it's 8 foot wide, 17-inch tall text. The variances are to allow projecting signs which are not uniform in size nor uniform in height, as shown in the attachments. So Short North design guidelines here state that projecting signs are preferable for a pedestrian scale, pedestrian oriented, but the maximum allowable area for a projecting sign that should be supported is 12 square feet. The maximum horizontal projection measured from the building should not exceed 4 feet or 2/3 of the sidewalk width, whichever is less. And a minimum of 10 feet of clearance should be maintained between grade and the bottom of the sign. Awning sign guidelines state that graphics allowed on awnings should be located on the front facing flag and that the maximum allowable area for graphics on awnings should not exceed 50%. Standards for site improvement are also applicable, which say that signs are regulated by many chapters of code, but also shall be in keeping with the character of the adjacent environment. So all of that in mind, staff recommends approving the project with the condition that the 2 blade signs should be reduced to 12 square feet, which is what the guidelines state is the maximum, and that chasing animation should be removed from the application, which that is currently on for both blade signs. They'd like them to have chasing animation. The applicant is here, I think.
Is that you, Mr. Hodge?
Yes, sir.
State your name, please.
David Hodge, attorney for the applicant.
Do you swear from the testimony? Well, you're an attorney. I don't have to swear you.
I swear
You're immediately viewed as trustworthy. We provide, for some reason, custom or some law of which I'm unaware, do not swear counsel.
And it's really interesting because every commission does it a little bit differently. So I'm used to taking it, and I never refuse, although I have seen people do so in the past.
Very well.
I think
Well,
Okay.
we aim to please here. Is somebody interrupting me, or is that you, Sarah?
It's Stephanie. I think you have Jared Smith that also needs sworn in for this application. He's raising his hand.
Ah, yes, sir. Mr. Smith, you swear from the testimony you will give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and that your attorney is an honorable man.
I can do most of those, yes.
Very well. Now you're covered, Mr. Hodge.
All right. Excellent. Excellent.
What shall we do?
Okay, so let me, if you would humor me, I'm just going to start to ramble a little bit here. And first starting with the staff comments. Sounds as though the awning sign is acceptable and recommended for approval. We certainly appreciate that and won't have anything to add there unless there is further discussion or questions about that sign in particular. The second issue is the chasing animation. That is no longer part of the request. We totally remove that altogether from all signage. With reference to the whiskey lounge sign, that these can be measured different ways. The city has you draw a box. When you draw a box around whiskey lounge, that sign is 16 square feet. When you measure the actual square footage of it as a circle, it's 12.5 square feet. We would respectfully request that a half a square foot is acceptable, and here later on, hopefully a motion can be made that both the whiskey lounge sign as submitted with the removal of the chasing animation as well as the awning sign can be approved. Certainly we had some feedback at your business meeting about the size of the urban chop house sign and a reference to the guidelines, and we understand that and appreciate it. And in fact, in all honesty, my client here, Mr. Smith, was very angry at me that we even came with this sign, and I thought he was going to fire me for a minute, but I'm still here today. If you take a little stroll down High Street from the Cap up through Short North, you see all sorts of things, as all of you well know. You see window signs, you see wall signs, you see projecting signs, you see these Ike round signs, which are signs and have a multiple purpose, and you see all art murals. So it's very eclectic what you see. As you look in particular at projecting signs, you see various sizes, but you do see some pretty significant and large projecting signs. You see the Short North Tavern sign. You see the Hubbard sign. You see the Hub. You see Serendipity Labs. You see Fireproof. You see the 1126, and you see Scully's. Eventually, you make your way over to the Goody Boy. And what the guidelines say about the Goody Boy drive-in is signage in the Short North includes examples of unique, iconic signage worthy of preservation. Certainly, it's an old sign. We would like for the commission to at least consider that our effort here is to create a new iconic sign in the Short North in this chop house. The last thing that I'm going to say before Jared takes over is a quote that came to mind as I was thinking through the Short North Design Guidelines and a strict adherence to those. Because as we know, it's eclectic through there. As I just demonstrated, it is very eclectic. I happen to think that that eclectic nature of the street is the right thing to do. It was Emerson that said, "A foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds, adored by little statesmen and philosophers and divines. With consistency, a great soul has simply nothing to do. He may as well concern himself with his shadow on the wall. Speak what you think now in hard words, and tomorrow speak what tomorrow thinks in hard words again, though it contradict everything you said today. Ah, so you shall be sure to be misunderstood. Is it so bad then to be misunderstood? Pythagoras was misunderstood, and Socrates and Jesus and Luther and Copernicus and Galileo and Newton and every
I didn't know we were going
ever took flesh. To be great is to be misunderstood. The point is, this is different. This does not strictly adhere to the guidelines, but I think it's something that we ought to seriously discuss, and I would respectfully submit to the commission that they should seriously consider.
I didn't know that we were in the company of such great historic figures in our consideration of your signage request, but maybe we are. Comments? While we're waiting on comments, I'll just point out a couple things about our foolish consistency. These guidelines that we're talking about are relatively new. They're, what, 10 or 12 years old, something like that, maybe even less. I haven't looked at the effective date. I was on the committee that helped put them together. So you will see several examples up and down High Street of signs that do not comport to guidelines that did not exist prior to say 2010 or 2008, maybe. I think I was still, yeah, in there.
11.
There we go. We were working on them before that, but 2011. Secondly, we have from time to time approved signs that had historic antecedents, which is something different from making our own history. And I think the Hubbard sign is one of those, because that used to be a Winder Chevrolet dealership. So we allowed I wasn't there, but I think my presumption is that we allowed the applicant to emulate a Chevy sign and change the name within it. Now, I really like this thing. I think it is way cool, but I just have enormous trouble. And you've got a big building here, but another issue is signage of blade signs is supposed to be pedestrian oriented. This thing is 3 or 4 stories up in the air for traffic, which is another issue altogether. But there we go.
Chair, this is Jared. Do you mind if I jump in, or am I out of order?
No, I think that's fine. I haven't heard anything from the other commissioners yet, so we might as well continue talking until they break in.
Thank you. So I guess I won't go as far down memory lane as David did, and I don't have any poetry to quote at this time. But what I would like to bring
I'm disappointed, but go ahead.
I'm never as prepared. So what I would bring you back to is approximately, I'm going to say 18 months ago, when we brought this building through, and I believe we took it in front of you twice to begin with. Both times we really, I won't say struggled, but we really talked about making an impact at that corner of 3rd and High. And kind of the first time we talked about it, we had similar, if you go back through the records on the Victorian Village thing, it said Lux 23 right there instead of saying Chop House. And the sign was, I don't have the measurements because we were kind of looking at what I'd call a rendering. It was almost the same size as if you're viewing it from kind of the same street level. And it just said Lux 23 down that border there. And then we kind of had flirted with the idea of putting kind of 23 on all the balconies instead of that. And we said, that's not real, or that's not going to work after all. So I think where we were trying to do is, and I understand and appreciate your comments at the brown bag where we discussed, I think you called it, I don't remember exactly, something with fluorescent lights or Las Vegas.
It really reminds me of the Chicago Theater sign on Michigan Avenue.
There you go. And
you can see it for blocks. It's a point of reference almost, and that's cool.
So we're just trying to create that third and high corridor right there. Obviously, along High Street, there is a number of signs nearby that have that size. And we really thought at that prominent corner right there, the way the building faces, getting that out there, it was important, and it was going to create something in the future, as David said. Because I think the cool thing about a lot of these projects and what we're doing is, while we have these standards to maintain, the integrity of the future, what we're trying to do is create some additional ones. And why we like all these areas is because people did new and different things. So I think that's why we want to be down here, and that's why we're looking at this sign today.
I think the best argument for an oversized, not necessarily this size, but an oversized sign on this building in this location is simply that the building itself, it's a beautiful building, but it is large and somewhat monotonous in terms of, it's got a lot of relief, but it goes a long way in all directions with repeating characteristics. And the building being big and massive like this would be an argument to put an oversized sign on it. I don't know if this is the sign for it, but I'm just throwing stuff out. I have no idea what my fellow commissioners think because I haven't heard from them. And the commissioner who was with me at the business meeting is not here today.
Chair, I'll jump in now.
Good.
I understand we've gone through some different iterations for signage and ideas of signage on this building. There's a few things to consider here. One is that I'm guessing Chop House is a tenant, and it's not the only tenant in the ground floor. Is that right?
That is correct.
So you're going to have another tenant or two or three on High Street probably. So I think this sign needs to be considered in the context of what those tenants might want in the future, and that you need to plan for that. And it's likely they're not going to get a giant illuminated sign.
So what we've done here, just so you're aware, is this, what we're showing you is the complete signage for the building, including all tenants.
So you aren't going to have any other ground floor tenants?
The only other tenant is the circular sign down at the end, the other complete other end of the building. There are only 2 retail tenants in the building.
Got it. Okay.
So and that was one of the things we talked about, like I said back then, is coming with something full, so we're not piecemealing and then telling you this is it, and asking for one more. So
got it. Okay, so you are showing us everything.
Yep.
My general opinion about the size of the sign is that it's a slippery slope. I know Italian Village side has approved some larger signs, and I'm not really in agreement with those. On the Victorian Village side of High Street, the signs that are larger in scale do have that, they're either restored or have that historical precedent. I would prefer if this was scaled down and was closer to what the guidelines ask for the large sign. especially since it's a 10 sign.
And especially since restaurants have a relatively short lifespan sometimes.
Yeah.
But you know, that's your risk if you put it up and have to take it down in 9 months. Commissioner Conyers.
Yes, sir. So thank you. I would agree with Lisa's comments in terms of the overall signs themselves being closer in alignment with the guidelines. As of right now, I would not, want to stray away from what those guidelines are, given some sense of consistency or being able to maintain some sense of consistency, regardless of the architecture.
Okay, so we have, I don't know where you are, Liesl, because whether you would require a sign that meets the guidelines or is closer to them, I'm willing, given the amount of streetscape that will not have signage because this building is so large, to look at a sign that may exceed the guidelines, but you got to come a lot closer than you are now. I don't know where you are with that, Liesl, and maybe we won't know until we see another design, but
yeah.
you...
I agree with, I kind of agree with that. And the entirety of the design of this building, I was not super happy, although there is lots of brickwork and interest to the building, that it is very large and needs some sort of life and articulation to it. And so I would like to see some other options that sort of add that sort of eclectic, sort of pedestrian scale feel to this building, since it is so large.
You've got so much landscape to work with, you could easily put on a couple very lively signs rather than one big one.
Yeah. As far as like, obviously,
I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
Obviously, the circular sign is a 2-foot diameter circle. I mean, obviously, you could make it like an inch smaller and it would meet the guidelines. I understand that working with a 2-foot diameter probably is easier in some respects. Fine. But I just think that this building needs some pedestrian scale brought to it through whatever the tenant, facades are going to end up being.
What shall we do? I've lost track. Sarah, is this conceptual or approval?
It's for action.
Got it.
May I make a suggestion, Mr. Decker?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We understand that we have some work to do on this chop house sign. And so we would appreciate the opportunity to shelve that and come back at a later meeting to continue the discussion about that sign in particular.
But like you said before, you want to vote on the other two.
If we could have a vote on the other two, in addition to one other piece of this, the variance that we are requesting simply allows us to have projecting signs that aren't in the same location and aren't the same size. If the commission could make a recommendation on that variance request, it'll allow us to go on to the graphics commission with the understanding, of course, that we have to come back and come to a final agreement on this chop house sign.
Where's your variance in your application? Variance language, is that somewhere?
It's on.
Oh, come on. Excuse me. Somebody wants me from Farmersville, Texas. What can that be? All right.
I thought that might have been from Electric Avenue.
Really? Well, my cell phone's hooked up to my landline and I can't turn it off for these meetings. I apologize. All right. So where is your language here about your variance?
It's on the agenda and on the staff report. It's 3377.18B3. This is projecting sign for ground floor activities.
So the crux of it, Mr. Decker, is individual projecting signs serving each use or tenant shall be of uniform size and shall be installed on or directly above the portion of the wall enclosing. We don't propose to have uniform sizes.
Okay, got it. Can we approve, fellow commissioners, the two signs, the Lux over the entrance and the circular sign, presuming there's a rounding error here and 12.5 square feet is rounds to 12? It is a big building.
The box square footage is 16 square feet. The rounded square footage is 12.5.
That's what you said. Yes. I don't think our guidelines specify one way or another how you measure it.
I think you can just measure the actual area. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I agree.
Do we want to, well, I don't know if anybody wants to approve these two things or not, but if you do, why don't we move to do so?
I'm okay with approving these, knowing that approval of these signs may affect what the Chop House sign looks like. That makes sense.
Yeah, this isn't the sort of situation where we actually need a package. And again, this building is so big that, you know, there's a lot of room to maneuver here.
Okay. Yeah. I'll.
Are you okay with that, Sean?
Yes, sir. I am okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll
I don't
make
have any
a
concerns
motion.
with that at all.
Go.
I'll make.
Could I interrupt just for a second, please, first?
Yes.
Connie Torbeck. Just want to say
Connie.
that if the, am I understanding that the blade sign, pardon me?
I want to swear
The
in.
blade sign.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Connie, do you swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Very well, yes.
Is it my understanding that the blade sign, the whiskey sign, is larger than 12 square feet?
Measured on the circle, it's 12.5 square feet.
Okay, so if it is and the commission's approving it, you'll need to, provide a reason why at this particular site it's being allowed to be a larger.
Are you guys totally?
We'll get to that.
Okay, I just wanted to put my 2 cents in there. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion to approve the Lux sign as submitted and the Whiskey Lounge sign as submitted with the removal of the chasing light feature.
Quick question though, is the applicant totally opposed, just to be nice to the neighborhood, to make the sign a 21.25 inch diameter so it meets the guidelines without controversy? Is that the end of the world?
I would, if this thing isn't fabricated, that sounds like the thing to do.
I mean, it's a 3-inch difference. It seems like that could be, that the sign could be made 21 inches instead of 24 inches. And that would make everyone in the world way happier about it.
It's a Jared Smith question. Jared, are you still with us?
I'm here. So long as I'm going to say yes, I just have to, I don't know about the fabrication portion of it, why we came up with this, but I'm going to go ahead and make the motion.
They probably just did it out of just, it's easy. But if it's custom made, there's no reason they can't make it 21 inches.
Okay, so you're going to make a motion that the total area not exceed 12 feet.
Yeah.
There you go.
Measured on the circle.
Measured on the circle.
Area, yeah. And then, yeah, and then the Lux 23 sign as submitted. That's the motion.
Variance.
Nope, we'll get to that.
Okay.
Do we have a second?
You have a second.
Further discussion? Commissioner Kodheimer,
Yes.
very wise change to your motion, by the way. Commissioner Conyers. It made sense. Commissioner
Yes.
Conyers. Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Decker, yes. Motion passes. Okay, part B. Now that we know where all the signage is going except for some blade signs, maybe it is ripe to decide that it might make sense to give them a variance, to recommend a variance on the location of signs as proposed.
A motion to recommend the variance that's being proposed.
Second.
Second.
Do we any discussion? Is this a good, bad, or indifferent idea? I personally think it has almost nothing to do with our mission. And therefore, the zoning should follow architecture.
That's correct.
All right. Are we ready to vote?
Yep.
Commissioner Kodheimer, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Conyers?
Yes.
Commissioner Decker, yes. Recommendation made. Part C would be to continue the remainder of this application pending further submissions from the applicant. Have we a motion?
Motion.
Kodheimer was first. I call Kodheimer as having been first. Move to continue? Kodheimer, do you? Lisa moves to continue. Conyers, do you second?
I second.
All right, further discussion. Roll call. How do you vote, Commissioner Kodheimer?
Yes.
Commissioner Conyers?
Yes.
Commissioner Decker, yes, it is done. Have we completed completed our mission today, Attorney Hodge?
You have, and I greatly appreciate it. And we will see you hopefully at your meeting next month.
Very well. Thank you very much. This is actually, I think this is a way cool building and it's going to be a real asset to the neighborhood. So
we agree.
Very good.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Commissioners, I'll make a note that it is 6 now. We have items left on the agenda. Keep going.
I think given the fact that the delay was due to technical difficulties, if staff can bear with us, I think it's kind of a hardship considering what we did last month to try to cram in more special meetings. These are 3 conceptuals, is that correct?
Well, one of them is the conceptual and 2 of them are not conceptual.
Do we want to keep going for a while, commissioners, staff? What do you guys think?
So staff to stay on. We have a 3-hour hard stop at meetings now, but staff recommends that meetings can take 2 hours or more if needed.
I would say another 30 minutes would be appropriate.
I would agree with Lisa's comment about another 30 minutes. I'm able
Let's
to
do it.
offer another 30 minutes.
Let's do it. What's next?
So next we have 999 to 997 North High Street. This is a request for action. This is exterior building alteration. So there's a few things going on here. On the east elevation, which is the primary facade, the applicant would like to replace 2 wooden full light doors with aluminum full light doors. They provided the paint colors. And then everything else will be on the west elevation, the rear. They'd like to replace 7 doors with 2-panel insulated hollow metal doors. They'd like to remove a rear metal stairway from 989 North High Street, fill those 2 rear stairway doors with brick, modify 4 rear elevation doors into window openings, new windows with the Delgwen sightline, and then modify 1 rear elevation first floor window opening into a doorway to provide direct access to the basement. So staff's analysis is that the proposed doors on the east elevation do match the existing doors in style and size and fit the existing openings, but that the short north design guidelines do advise against eliminating or altering openings. The short north design guidelines say that any older or original door and entrance features should be repaired and retained, that original door style, size, and material should be matched as closely as possible. And window guidelines state that it's inappropriate to eliminate window openings, fill in or alter them to accommodate larger or smaller replacement windows in the majority of instances. Applicable standard here is 3116.11, standard for alteration, just that distinguishing characteristics of properties shall not be destroyed, and that removal or alteration of historic material or distinctive features shall be avoided whenever possible. Staff recommends approving the project with the condition that the rear openings remain intact and that the new doors all fit the existing openings.
All right. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was looking. I do think the applicant is here.
Mr. Spiegel, are you the applicant?
I am.
Do you, sir, state your, do we have someone else here?
Yep, Tom Linzell, MA Architects.
All right, Mr. Spiegel and Mr. Lintel, do you both swear or affirm the testimony you will give today is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Okay, do you have anything further to say, especially to explain any changes to the existing openings?
Can you bring up the elevation?
This be A3.10?
I think so. And then zoom in on the bottom, which is the west.
This is the rear, correct?
Yes, correct. Okay.
Oh.
So
the long neglected facade of this building.
That's right. That's correct. So I think that originally each apartment had an entrance off of this rear stair on the left-hand building, and we are just having entrances to the corridor, those doors number 250 and 350, and then just going to have windows in those other openings. But I do want to stress that those existing brick arches are going to stay in place.
Okay, and then where the...
And then the doors that are being, we'll say, bricked up, that metal stair is to be removed, and those aren't entrances to, those are just units, not entrances to the upper floors. And so we certainly would be amenable to doing a smaller window or a panel or something in that masonry opening. But those are just the kitchens of units.
Have any windows been moved, or those, is that around the doors you're breaking up? Is that the original configuration of windows there?
Correct, yes.
Which ones are bricked up?
So on the right-hand side of the building, those two red dashed in doors, those are the ones that are proposed to be taken out. And those are just those are just flat slab hollow metal doors that were added sometime not original to the building.
Okay.
And then the ones on the first floor are all tenant openings for the most part. except for that one where the window is being converted to a door and has to provide access to the basement directly from the exterior for the fire suppression.
Are
Which
the
one?
it looks to me like you have two window sizes in the building to the north.
Yeah, and those are existing brick masonry openings that we replacing with new windows that were approved before.
So the openings are of different sizes.
Yes.
And I assume, even though I'm not sure, because all this print is small, that the windows that you would replace the two doors with would match.
Yes.
The existing.
That's correct.
In all dimensions, and have a matching stool underneath them.
Right.
And a matching crown overhead to match everything that's existing.
Correct.
Commissioner Conyers.
So the ones on the left, as I know it currently, are going to be, shown. They're shown right now as windows, and those windows, they're shown as doors, and those will be put back to windows to match the existing. Is that an accurate statement on the ones on the left as I'm reading the items that are in red?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So the only item that's missing in the illustration currently, when they, so to speak, small or kind of, reduce in size to be windows, is that those are in need of having stone lintels above them. Or is there a possibility of reusing the lintels that are currently, that probably were raised in order to create the door opening?
I'm sure those lintels are long gone, but I'm sure we could also fund something that would be of the same design.
That's correct. So I don't really have any concern with, reducing those back, because to windows, as long as the sills and the lintel conditions would be back to stone, a limestone to match the existing adjacent windows. The items to the right, as far as infilling those particular, two non-contributing doors back to just brick infill, as long as the brick is teased in, it seems like that would be an appropriate solution. The doors on the lower area, I don't have any concerns with those, because it appears to me that the openings are going to be retained. It's just as far as the window or the transom condition above it, is the transom condition being replaced as part of the window replacement, or is that the current proportion of it? It just looks like the window light is extremely small.
Well, yeah.
This may be a drawing condition.
I'll chime in.
Okay.
On the building on the left, the transoms, I want to say half of them have been bricked in at some point to reduce the door to just a normal door. And then there's still a couple that still have the window transom. Our plan is to replace all of those doors with the transoms. So we'll be bringing the original transom, the original size, back with the replacement.
I have a question about what Commissioner Conyers said. When you were talking about bricking in the two doors on the southern building that are being removed, Sean, were you talking about having the Sean, are you still there?
Yes, sir, I'm still here.
Were you talking about having that brick shadowed so there would be some relief between it and the face of the building?
No, sir. No, sir, not at all. I don't
You
think
were
that's
talking
necessary.
about doing it flush.
That is correct.
How do you do that and not make it look funny? Because matching the brick is going to be hard to do.
Yeah, I would agree, but at the same time, I don't think that it needs to be necessarily, you know, a shadowed condition to, you know, represent some condition that occurred. It's an old opening, so I think that appropriately with a good mason, I think they would be able to do it. I don't think that it's necessary to shadow it, and it's not really reflecting any proportion or any rhythm of the existing facade. So I think it's more of an issue that it's present than trying to express itself.
Yeah. Maybe you want to make those openings go away as much as you can because they appear to be out of rhythm with everything that's going on with the original design. Okay. Commissioner Kodheimer, do you have anything more to add about this?
I think it all seems fine. Obviously per the city to retain as much original as possible and not destroy things that are original is ideal. I think matching the stone sills, I think, is important. If referring to windows, but otherwise, I don't think there's anything glaring about this.
I think this has been a sensitive restoration so far, but the real key is the High Street face. This is a neglected and not that visible face. So if you are going to make changes to the building, this is the place to make them. And I think they've been held, they appear to have been held to a minimum based on function. So I don't have a problem either, assuming that Commissioner Conyers' conditions are met with respect to retaining sills and lintels for the windows to replace the door. So with that in mind, are we ready for a motion? I have a something is breaking up. I think that's Sarah.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I just had a clarifying question for the applicant. I know that you sent me an email about adding louvers for ventilation.
Yeah.
Is that entirely new, or is there something there that you'd be replacing, just to clarify for?
And we've actually talked about that with the owners since that, and we are now not putting those louvers in. That was kind of a worst case scenario for future tenants, and we're going to wait and see what tenants they get.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we're running out of time. Do we have a motion? Commissioner Conyer, we cannot hear you. I think you're speaking.
Yes, sir. So a motion to approve as submitted with the following amendments. The north building, the windows that are being installed, that they would have lintels and sills that would be limestone to match the existing or the adjacent. And that the transoms that are being proposed for the lower level, that those transoms be of character, and those cut sheets to be reviewed by staff for confirmation of their proportion.
Period. Does that conclude your motion, Sean?
Yes, sir, it does.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. All right, let's vote. Kodheimer.
Yes.
Conyers.
Yes.
Decker, yes. Motion passes. There you go. Sorry to give you the bum's rush, but we need to really rush to get done by 6:30. Thank you very much. This is a handsome building.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You spent many hours in it looking at junk at
Yeah. You have no idea.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Who's next?
On North High Street, this is for a temporary effective installation be 4 feet by 16 feet. The exhibit will be denim pockets that are attached to plywood panels. Plywood will be attached with stickers installed in the mortar. The applicant, when asked at the business meeting about how long it's temporary, said it would be probably 4 to 6 weeks, but I believe she's on here so she can clarify if I'm wrong. She's also received a letter of support from the Short North Alliance, from the building owner, and the proposed installation will not cover or damage any significant building elements. Short North design guidelines for public art say that it must be approved by meet city code, and that it should possess, or it may possess, functional as well as aesthetic qualities, that it should be designed and installed so as to not damage or visually obscure contributing buildings or building elements. Staff would recommend approving this with the condition that plywood panels should not be installed in mortar. Or rather, they should be installed in mortar, which the applicant has indicated they would.
Very well. Who's here for the applicant?
Hi.
Stephanie? Hello?
I'm here. Andrea Myers.
Andrea, there you are. Do you swear or
Hello.
affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
How long is temporary?
So we've determined with the gallery that it would be from September 23rd to October 21st.
Very well. And this will be a sheet of plywood or several sheets that will be installed in mortar, correct?
Yeah, it'll be 2 sheets of plywood that are each next to each other. So 4 feet by 16 feet.
Very well. Do we have any discussion? Anyone?
I think that's
Yes,
like a very modest request, and I think it should be interesting.
Very well. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve as submitted.
Do we have a second?
Just a quick question, amendment, as far as do we need to represent the temporary nature, meaning just a year? Or do we
No,
need to say
it
anything
would
of that
be
nature?
to expire December 31st. That gives them some leeway.
Okay, and that's
Is
that would just be my
is that amendment acceptable to the movement?
Sounds good.
And you've seconded Commissioner Conyers?
yes, sir. Second.
Any discussion? All right, let's vote. Commissioner Kodheimer,
Yes.
Commissioner Conyers,
Yes.
Commissioner
Commissioner Decker, yes, as long as you're not painting brick.
Not
Motion
saying-
passes. Motion passes. Sorry to move this along so fast, but we're trying to get done by 6:30. All right, who's
Thank
left?
you.
Oh God, it's important. It's these guys.
We've
Next.
been waiting for a long time, so this is good. Thanks for fitting us in.
This is
All right, what have we?
104 to 110 Charles conceptual. This is exterior build alteration to construct new front porches on house as listed. Commissioners requested some more information regarding materials, color, existing and proposed second floor railing, and changes in second floor configuration at the business meeting, which staff did not receive, but we talked to the applicant and they've indicated they're prepared to discuss and answer any questions that we might have. Staff's other note is that the townhouses are not of historic age, and we would just look at standard for alterations so that whenever possible, a new addition shall be accomplished so that future removal will not impair essential form, and that in passing appropriateness, commissioners shall consider the architectural characteristics typical of structures in the district or listed property, historical and architectural value of surrounding resources, and that the rhythm of projections, relationship of entrances, porches, and projections shall be guided by the streetscape provided by adjacent and visually related structures and open spaces. So staff just recommends providing the applicant with design feedback.
As we are supposed to do. All right, anything to add, applicants?
No, so essentially this is a conceptual discussion. We're just wondering if the addition of deeper porches on this house, on the building, is appropriate. So.
And the real thing to look at is probably the third page here, which is your elevation showing the new porches. And then the one above it that shows that this would extend the porches significantly towards the bay windows and towards the street. Is that fair?
Yeah, so we're probably looking at coming out another 5 or 6 feet from where the existing porches are. And that's why we really wanted to, we think it looks great, and porches I think are appropriate on the park. This just brings the porches out further than kind of the rest of the streetscape. So that's why we wanted to ask.
The other thing to add about this is the existing steps are built are some kind of composite stone material that basically got eaten up by ice melt, and something has to be replaced.
So the owners are going to have to replace the porches anyway and the steps and all that. So they were just wondering about bringing it out and actually creating more of a presence onto the park.
Commissioners, discussion.
Lisa,
Switch back to the plan.
Go ahead, Lisa.
There you go. You want to look at the elevation, Lisa? Is that what you wanted?
No, I wanted the plan.
Oh, sorry.
It's really hard to tell what this is going to look like in flat plans and elevation, to be honest. Like, I'm not opposed to it, but it's hard to really grasp what the change is going to look like.
The thing that makes me nervous is how close you're coming to the bay windows.
That doesn't bother. That happens a lot in Victorian Village, and just how it engages the bay. So we thought that was actually avoiding the windows, I think, is important, but engaging the bay we thought was actually a nice way to kind of engage the house.
Yeah, I didn't say no. I said I'm a worrywart. Commissioner Conyers, what do you think?
I don't necessarily have any concerns with the approach. I just had one question or one observation, and is the materiality of the railings on the, let's just say, the sleeping porch level, is that intended to be, wood, or is that going to be in character in terms of iron of what's there now?
We're open to either. We kind of like the idea of wood, because if people are up there with any furniture, that helps to screen it a little bit rather than having the metal, and then just having the metal at the third floor on those roof decks seemed to be more appropriate. That was lighter, but as we kind of worked down, it seemed like we need a little more weight with the porches.
And they've also got French doors there that seem sort of,
yeah, there's
not.
I think that was
floating.
That was the concern in terms of the material. If wood is something that is used, I would agree in terms of being able to kind of screen, because there will probably be, additional furniture elements, and I think the building can withstand that heavier weight that is applied to the porch with no problem at all. So that's just kind of a good observation. I think I would personally be in support of that.
Okay.
A sleeping port, a modesty panel would not be appropriate, would it, unless there were a roof on it? Am I right?
That seems too heavy.
Yeah, it seems a little.
Yeah.
So how many units are in there? Like, who has access to the roof and who has access to the second floor porches?
There's 4 units.
So it's 4 townhomes, and each one would have their own porch. And I believe each one just has its own roof deck. So
I personally think that there's just way too many like outdoor spaces here, and that maybe we need to dial it back a bit. Like, maybe they get the first floor porch, but they don't get the second floor porch because they already
have those doors.
Right, the doors are there.
Yeah.
The doors are there.
Yeah.
But there's an option, of course, to set the railing back from the edge of the porch too.
But then you don't, yeah, I don't know. Can you go back to the photo? I'm sorry. Yeah, it just seems like we're getting out of control here.
In my personal opinion, this building should have been designed with porches since it's facing the park.
I feel like it should have porches across the whole front of it. And that maybe they're not like the sort of square proportion of the proposed ones bothers me a bit. Like maybe it needs to meet in the middle and come in a bit.
The difficulty, because we liked the idea of taking it across the whole thing. It's they have those basement windows, which it became really more complex to try to arch over them or to kind of contain that underneath the porch. It added a lot of busyness to it.
Those would become caves even if you arched over them.
Yeah, I just think there's something. I don't like the proportion of the porches in plan. And again, I can't really tell. I think I don't like it with, you know, the steps and the porch. Walking down the street and seeing it, I think it's going to look like pimples sticking out, you know. But if it was, you know, either along the whole front, which obviously there's an issue there, a flatter sort of proportion, and then also if you made it maybe less deep, that obviously could help as well.
True, but then I guess the whole idea is that people can actually sit out there and look at the park. So
I know, but that's the thing. They have the second floor porch that they can sit and look at the park, and they have the third floor porch that they can also sit and look at the park. So it's like really,
yeah, but on the first
really
floor on the first floor they can engage with dog walkers.
Right. It just seems like, why do they really need this? Because they already have all these opportunities, and so if they really need it, it needs to be like awesome.
Commissioner Conyers, what do you think in the remaining brief time that we have?
I understand Lisa's, comments and concerns from that standpoint. So I guess I'm just kind of thinking about. I understand also the complexities with the basement window that has kind of pushed this option in front of us. I was kind of thinking about maybe a very similar. And it's not as grand, obviously, but they're on the corner of that may be First and Neal, if I remember correctly. That there is a fourplex there that's on the corner that has a kind of a similar expression of these kind of porches that pull out slightly from a recess, and then also has kind of a sleeping porch component. And they still maintain a certain sense of weight to them, that it doesn't really detract from the building. But I guess I would challenge the team to try to explore if the upper sleeping porch, if it stays in plane where it's shown now, or if it steps back to kind of potentially limit, or only at least address or offer the same amenity space at the second floor that the current porches have now, and what that looks like.
I would echo Commissioner Conyers' comments. And there are actually two buildings on Neal Avenue. One is at First and Neal and one's near it that do have this sort of condition, although this building is much larger and grander. And I also think you ought to think about, from a use perspective, keeping the limits of the second floor porch close to the building. So this doesn't become a party space, but it's basically a step out space for what I understand on this. I've been in these. I think that's the master bedroom up there.
It's a bathroom, yeah.
Bath and the master bedroom off of it. And maybe you can reduce the massing of this by keeping the fence light. Like it is, and step back to not project beyond the bays, so that what does project beyond the bays is on the first floor. But this is just feedback. It all depends on what your final design looks like, and it may look different once you move other elements around.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's basically what we just wanted to kind of gauge the commission and just see before we develop it further. Just
this isn't now the question. I think we all think you can take it in some direction.
Okay. Oh, is that?
Yeah, I was just looking at first and Neil. I think I mean, I know you guys do hand drawings. I would love to see this in 3D, just because those buildings are already kind of up, you know, and it would really be nice to see what it looks like on the street.
I look at it every day.
Like this looks fine. It's nestled with some big trees and it's not, you know, on the park. It's just kind of a different, it's a different situation a little bit.
Yeah.
That's true. Although I think the park, given the scale of the park, it can absorb something, especially
maybe. Yeah.
Because initially, I would have envisioned that the commission would approve like 2 large, almost house-like structures on this lot, rather than a big townhouse. So this is kind of trying to break down the scale of it again. So
what we're looking at was once known as Doodle Porches. They were kind of viewing areas.
I guess the difference here is that these are infilled in between them, so you don't have that really long leg
Look at the
sticking
house
out.
next to it. That's the same building without the porch.
Yeah, but this doesn't have that long leg in between each porch. Because there's sort of a room infilled in the middle. So it's a little different.
oh, this one just
Nobody claims it's identical, but it's something that looks.
Okay.
Do we have any further business to conduct here today? Can we let everybody go home?
Awesome.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, second. Yeah, we're adjourned, and thank you, staff and commissioners and everybody else for sticking around as long as you have.
Thank you. Thank you,
All
Lisa.
set?
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone. Leave.